Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban lifestyle and jungle survival. Today we're going to have a look at the Brother F005 Bushcraft knife. First, if you watch this channel regularly but have not subscribed, please do so to help the channel out. Thanks. So every now and then I go into AliExpress to have a look at knives. They do have a large variety of knives, from no brands to branded to clones. So you really have to sift through if you're looking for a good knife. Now, Brother is a brand which has been establishing itself over the years, and they do both fixed blades and folding knives. And I've actually got a lockback knife which is really decent. So the fit and finish is very good. Prices, of course, quite reasonable as well. So I thought, okay, let's have a look at one of their fixed blades, and I was going to look for kind of a bushcraft knife. So it comes in a very simple packaging like this, and then you get basically the knife, and that's about it. So this is supposed to be an outdoor knife. You'd see that it's patterned after kind of a classic woodlaw style pattern. It comes with this kydex sheath with this kind of tech lock kind of holder which you can mount onto your pack or your belt. Just right off here, my personal issue would be this rides way too high. Right? Can you imagine if this goes on your belt? This is going to really extend out. I prefer a knife holder which would actually drop this down a bit. So that would be, I guess, just my initial impression on this when I look at this. In terms of the kydex sheath quality, it's fine. Thickness is okay, overall serviceable, and there's a nice lockup with that. So great if you're going out to damp and humid conditions or environments. Kydex sheath is always welcome. Let's have a look at the knife itself. So there we have it. As you can see, it's got a classic woodlaw style blade shape, and the closest I think I would have is the Condor Bushlaw, just to get a sense of the comparisons. You can see there is a very close similarity. At least you can see they're related. I think this has more of a spear point blade, even though they're both drop points, but this is even more spear point than this. But I think you can see the inspiration there. The difference would be that the handle here is micarta, the Bushlaw is wood, and generally very well sculpted, and fit and finish is very nice. I just personally don't like this kind of finish for micarta. I just prefer a solid kind of linen micarta look and a solid color, because I don't know, this just, especially maybe for what I consider traditional knife designed, in this case for the Bushlaw style or woodlaw style knife, having this kind of very modern textured micarta to me just breaks that overall aesthetic, which I personally don't like. The other difference, of course, this is D2 blade steel. So that's a tool steel, which is pretty hard in terms of it's supposed to have better edge retention, but it's also harder to sharpen if you're out in the field. Personally, not my favorite choice of steel for a field knife. Got some jimping over here. This is a Scandi grind, and let's just talk about some specs then. So the blade length is just under 4 inches at 3.9 inches. The overall length is 9 inches, with the handle being 5.1 inches. The weight is 6.3 ounces or 178 grams. So as mentioned, the blade steel is D2 steel. This is 4 millimeters thick, and the handle is micarta. So this knife retails for about $45 US. It is not a super budget knife. It's kind of the mid-range knife, and I was interested to see how it stacks up with other knives of this range. Now, I think aesthetically, for me, for whatever reason, now I do like the woodlaw, I would say, and I do like the Bushlaw shape, right? This appeals to me. Now, this is a very close design to this, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't do it for me. I'm not sure if it's the textured micarta scales or the textured pattern which is throwing me off, or just the overall look. I know it's so minute, but for whatever reason, I'm not getting behind the design of the knife. I mean, it feels fine in hand, and and I believe, to do basic wood processing tasks and all, I feel it's perfectly fine. But for whatever reason, just that overall design is not doing it for me. What about you? Do you get that same feeling, or do you see basically no difference between these two knives? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But tell you what, let's bring this out to the field. We'll do some basic wood processing, and then I'll share with you my thoughts out there. Here are my thoughts on the Brother F005 Bushcraft knife after using it a bit out in the field. In terms of ergonomics, I think not a problem. These micarta scales are well sculpted. It's a full tang blade, but fit and finish is good, so you do get a good purchase. Not much fatigue. Jimping here if you want to put your thumb up. So overall, I think that's actually pretty good. In terms of performance, battening was not an issue, although I must say that's really wet today, so even the wood is quite wet. Nothing really hard and dry, but this still split through easily. When it came to feather sticking, again, wood is soaked through. Could get curls, but I would really have to make these really fine, let them dry out a bit before I could even get some fire going. But just to talk about this, I think a small issue here, at least some of you might find it an issue. When you have a knife of this size, kind of a woodcraft, bushcraft knife, you want it to be nimble, you want to be able to carve and do fine tasks quite easily. So this has a Scandi grind, but the thickness is 4 millimeters, and that's really thick for a Scandi grind. So that means when you do fine tasks, let's say like feather sticking, you can't get really nice curls. Well, you'd really have to be really controlled and get the angle right to get really nice thin long curls. If not, you're going to get thick kind of slices like that. So I wouldn't even call these curls, but slices. And then of course you can see when I first started it, it was very thick, and then as I kind of got used to the knife to counter the angle and the strength, then it got finer. So of course with practice and use with this particular knife, then you would get even thinner curls. But that's one thing to consider. So some people feel that Scandi grind should never be more than 3 millimeters thick. I think the sweet spot is anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 millimeters. Once it gets to that 4 millimeters and all, for a small knife, you're going to lose that nimbleness and the ability to do very fine work. So that's something to think about if you're looking for a knife for wood processing. I mean, it is tough. D2, it's not something I'm generally fond of, simply because when we're out in the field and we want to field sharpen, it's going to be harder to sharpen because it's a tool steel. It's much harder and therefore harder to sharpen out in the field as well. Let's see how it strikes a ferro rod. Generally, the tool steels don't strike it as well. This isn't a super sharp spine, but yeah, we still get it. I guess if we use the jimping especially, yeah, that's really easy. So it does work pretty well in terms of striking a ferro rod. So if you're looking for a bushcraft knife that is not too expensive, you want something entry level and something that I think will actually last for some time, I think you can consider this particular knife. Now I would say there are other knives around this kind of price range, and I would say Generally, they'll be about the same in terms of performance. However, I would say from my point of view, if I could get something in a high carbon steel, let's say like a 1095, 5160, then I would go for that over the D2. And personally, for a size of a knife of this size, I would also go with a slightly thinner blade as well. So those are my thoughts on the F005 from Brother. Do let me know if you have this knife and if you share similar thoughts. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.